Happy Monday, everybody. I am super excited to chat with Vicky Barone today. So we will let everybody kind of get into the chat and then we can start talking about how we can spread kindness. So I see Vicky, hello. She'll be joining us here as soon as we request in a moment. But those of you that are just joining us now, go ahead and tell us where you're joining from, your day was. We'll get Vicky in here so soon. Here we go. For those of you that, hey Vicky, yay!
Hey everybody!
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. We're so excited you're going to join us today. I know there's a lot of art teachers and fellow friends that are just super psyched to chat with you, especially about, I know we're going to talk a little bit about your kindness project and everything that you do to help spread kindness and make the world amazing. So before we get into our questions, can you tell everybody just a little bit about you as an artist and as a person?
Sure. Let's see. I have been designing and creating content for specifically greeting cards for about the past 20 years. So I've been running my own design studio, and I licensed my designs to recycle paper greetings, and they're distributed and sold nationwide. So let's see. I have a home studio, so I'm in my home studio now. Let's see. I'm a mom, so I have 2 kids, 2 boys, and I'm a mom of a rescue dog.
Nice. I'm sure a lot of people can relate to many of those things. Like some people are doing the whole like virtual parenting, teaching at home, that sort of thing. I also love that you like I feel like you're a teacher. You like put your little board up of all the things on. Like,
there it is.
Here's all the things I make. It's so fun.
Well, inspiration board, right? Like it moves around. It changes daily.
Yeah, so. It's the mood board. It's perfect. Well, so we'll chat just a little bit about your work, but I'm always curious about artist process. So before we get into like the kindness cards and kind of what all that is about, can you tell us about how you typically create? Like, is it digital? Is it on the computer? What does that look like?
Well, I do a variety of different things. So sometimes I plan my work like on, just paper, pencil, but I do a lot of digital work. I have an engineering background, believe it or not. So I'm not like a stereotypical designer per se. I didn't go to design school. I'm all self-taught. So I think that the digital world kind of appeals to me. I spend a lot of my time on my iPad Pro these days. Before that, I did a lot of digital work in Illustrator and Photoshop. But I do plan, layouts and things like that. I have a sketchbook with me a lot and like idea books I carry it around with me. So when an idea strikes, then, I can record it. The creative process is never linear. So it's always hard for any artist, right? To really hone in on what it is that helps me feel creative and helps my creativity flow. Yes. So I've been working from home now for 16 years. So I've had a lot of time to try and figure out like what it is that allows me to kind of feel creative. And I think my left brain and right brain, like one of the things that I've realized about myself is that if I have order in my physical world, which is kind of funny because it's usually you think that some people like to create and things are all over the place. I'm not going to say my office isn't a mess sometimes, but like if there's order around me, I kind of feel like I can hone in on like what it is that I really want to create, and it kind of comes out better. But everybody's got their own process, and my process changes. Believe me, every day it's probably different.
Oh, completely. And I love that too because sometimes it's sort of fun to like take a step back and almost be a fly on the wall for your own artistic process. Like, oh wow, my studio is a hot mess today. And like that's okay.
It's really clean right now, but some days it's a hot mess. So
right, and I feel like that kind of is a baseline for maybe sometimes what kind of person you are. So it's like, if you feel like you need to be able to see what the creative process is, like maybe you're looking around and you're like, okay, I got everything taken care of. I have something that's a work in progress. So that's what I know I want to work on. Whereas like if there's stuff everywhere, it's like you kind of get distracted and you can like be so intrigued by all the things around you. Well, I think that's really interesting too. I did want to just quick ask one of the questions that popped into the chat. So thank you all for joining. And of course, super psyched to chat with Vicky today. So if you have any questions for her, be sure to drop those in the chat and I'll do my very best to try to ask her. But I did see someone ask, how do you get into the business of like creating greeting cards and what does that look like for you as working with clients?
Well, it was a super random thing. It was kind of along the path of the pursuit to try and figure out what it is that really kind of set me on fire. Like what it was I wanted to do like early on in my career that I was excited about. And you know, I started my career. I went to Virginia Tech and studied I studied biological systems engineering.
Yeah.
So I'm a million years away from where I started. But when I got out of school and I went and worked in the consulting world for a little while, and quickly realized that's not where I belonged either.
Sure.
And you know, I took a leap of faith. I quit my job and I took 6 months off, and I taught myself the Adobe Creative Suite of products. And then you know, I researched. I figured out like, how can I get you know, nobody's going to take me seriously as an artist if I'm coming into, you know, hey, I'm an engineer, look at me, I can be creative. Well, I knew I was going to have to develop a portfolio, you know, and I researched ways to get unsolicited artwork published. And one of the things that has always been like a really big part of my family growing up was that we were always avid greeting card givers. My mom and I used to stand in card shops and like, you know, laugh and like share and, you know, so I always wondered, I always looked at the back of the card and wondered, who are these people and how did they get to do that?
Yeah.
So, you know, I sent some ideas, you know, I mean, again, this is 20 years ago, so I don't know if the process is different now, but, you know, I approached 3 different companies. I sent them unsolicited work and said, hey, I'd really love to work with you. And at the time, all 3 of them got back to me and said, yeah, we would love to work with you too. So, you know, eventually my relationship with Recycled Paper Greetings became exclusive in the greeting card world. So I've now been partners with them for 20 years.
That's a really awesome story. It kind of seems like, you know, artists or musicians would like burn a CD with all of their stuff on it. They're like, hey, what do you think about this? It's like kind of like that where you're like, I have an idea, I have a talent. Does this sort of vibe with what you guys are looking for? And luckily that worked with them, right? So I'm sure you have some insight into what that world looks like of, you know, the greeting card world, but also just that it was clearly a passion of yours and continues to be. Just like how you're saying, even the things that you realize you don't like to do helps you drive and decide as an artist what you do like, right?
Exactly. And, you know, it's funny because I was in the world, that the greeting card thing didn't become full-time right away. So I was doing, I had my own web design development company, and I was working in like the corporate world, designing like collateral material and branding and working on, you know, logo design and things like that. And I think what appeals to me specifically about greeting cards is that, you know, it's more purely creative. Like there's a message that needs to be said, but you're not constrained by, you know, the corporate guidelines of a brand per se.
Sure.
You know, so it's a little more purely creative. And I think it speaks directly to kind of what I've tried to make my career about in that facilitating like connection in the world and positivity in the world. And, you know, when somebody chooses like my artwork or my words to celebrate something really special in someone else's life, then that's really humbling. And I love that I can be a part of that, or I can give somebody a tool to help do those things because it's necessary.
That's beautiful. I love thinking of it in that way too. That you're almost like the, I can't think of a good analogy, but essentially like you're the platter that the feeling gets served on, right? Because it's your creative process, it's your creative artwork, but it's helping somebody to get there, right? Who maybe wouldn't like draw their own card, right? So speaking of kindness and positivity and your general artist, your vibe, your aesthetic, your style, people who are maybe just joining or aren't fully aware of your kindness card project, we'd love to know a little bit more about that. Speaking of which, I have a pack here. I have many packs because I love this project. But basically, tell us the makeup of the kindness card pack, how we can get it, what it's all about, and just tell us, like, for people who don't know about it, what it is.
What it is, sure. Yeah, well, to give it a little background, you know, when the pandemic, everything started, everything shut down in April, you know, everybody was just kind of in awe and like didn't, you know, we were all in our own places trying to figure out like how to make sense of it all, right? We're in this weird place that's obviously never happened in our lifetime. And, you know, and I'm in, you know, in the position that a lot of people are finding themselves in, also having to try and communicate what's happening to my children.
Right.
You know, and I started, I really took a step back from like the world and thought like, what can I do right now to contribute to the greater good? Like, what can I do to help in any way I can, you know, and I'm not a frontline worker, but you know, what I am is I'm an artist. I create positivity, like in my work. Right.
Yeah.
So, you know, the idea was kind of born like in the summer. And so the idea behind the kindness cards is in the back, it says, everybody needs a little kindness. I think I'm going to get it wrong. There it is.
Kindness, pass it on, right?
Yes. Keep this card for yourself or pass it on to somebody that needs a little more kindness today. And, you know, the idea is not only, I know they're very simple encouraging messages, obviously supported by like really bright, happy colors. The cards themselves, they're 3.5 inches by 3.5 inches, so the width of a business card and the height of a business card. So they're really easy to kind of pass out. And there's some behind me. Right now I'm giving them away for free on my website. Just for the cost of shipping, I'll send you a free set of 30 cards, professionally printed. There are 15 specific designs, and there are 2 in each packet. So you can keep set for yourself or pass them out to whoever you want to pass them out to kind of help add some positivity to the world. Yeah. And to get them, just go to my website, vickybarone.com, and I think it's in the store, look for kindness cards. There's a link in my Instagram bio as well. Yeah. If you pull it up, you'll find it.
Yes, and we will be sure to share your website as well as a little bit more information in the Art of Ed story after our chat as well. So if people are looking for a way to quick shop Vicky's prints or anything more about her work, you are obviously welcome to go check it out as well, because we love sharing about current working artists. So that's clearly a beautiful reason for starting kindness cards, right? Because everybody always needs a little more kindness, right. And especially when we're maybe feeling a little more isolated or feeling like we aren't getting affirmed as right. artists, as people, as educators, right? So one thing that before we move on to how we can kind of incorporate this idea into the classroom and what kind of ideas you have for that, there was a question in here too about, so you've shipped or given out over 150,000 kindness cards. Is that correct?
I have. Yes.
Okay. That's insane. That's like insanely amazing, right?
It's amazing, but it was really overwhelming at first. I had no idea how well the program was going to be received. And I really honestly just, I started it blindly, just, I'd really love to add again.
Yes.
And adding some positivity to the world, right? Because even just the gesture, if you got it from a stranger or a friend or a coworker, like even the message, there's people reach out to me on a daily basis and tell me about how, that changed the course of their day. And the idea is that if it changes the course of one person's day, then that person carries that positivity, and then there's a trickle effect, right? Hopefully that person goes out into the world and with their positivity or their different mindset, even if there's like a slight shift towards positivity, then that can help everybody. So my thought behind, again, the 30 cards was that, if one person, passes out 15 or 30 cards, then, it's exponential, the impact.
Completely.
So we started, I posted them on the website in September, like late August, early September. And within a week, we had fulfilled orders to every state in the US.
I love it.
So it was amazing. I had a map up for a little while because I was so surprised. I was like, hey, there are a couple of states. I was like, what about you guys? And people would immediately say, yes, us too.
Oh yeah, so, nobody wants to be left out, right?
I mean, and actually, let me take a moment to everybody that's listening. Thank you so much for your support of the program. Like, obviously, this is something that is resonating with everybody, and I really appreciate the support. I plan to continue the program into 2021. I don't know what it'll look like in 6 months, but I hope to continue it because it really does seem to be resonating with people.
Completely. And just to piggyback off that a little bit, and feel free, you don't need to share all the information, but again, remember, these kindness cards are free. Yes. So they're incredible. Like, it's thick, glossy paper. Like, it is solidly made, and you're just paying for shipping. So, this is not a money maker for Vicky in any way.
Not at all. And in fact, in the beginning, I just had the free kindness cards, and I wasn't even limiting how many people could order. But when it comes down to it, I'm funding a program myself, right? I'm printing the cards, I'm just fulfilling the orders. I had to say like one free set per order, but people are asking how to get multiple sets, so you can actually purchase additional sets for $5 to be shipped out with the free set.
Completely.
And I've had some feedback. People are sad that they have to pay for the shipping, and again, it's only me. If I had a better way to distribute them, and if I could set up like a booth outside, if it was safe,
right?
Then I would be happy to do that too. But obviously, we live in a world where that's not okay.
Of course. And we also have to understand too that artists are working people, and even though you are being so kind to share your kindness cards, there is a moment of understanding, okay, this is still a way that you you can't just like give your life savings towards this. You can help promote it so that you can have these people, you know, and customers and people who love kindness and love sharing art to hopefully help spread the word about that. So I think the support is there, and you're clearly doing it in a way that resonates with people so much. I'm seeing a lot of people sharing that they got a couple more sets, and so I know we have a lot of fans in here of specifically the kindness cards, but also your work, Vicky. So super psyched about that. So
me too.
Let's chat. Oh, here, let's see. Just hearing about this makes my day. Thank you for your generosity. It's contagious. And I saw a comment that said kindness is the new cool. So like, I don't know, maybe an idea for the next kindness card?
Oh, maybe. Well, so it's funny that you say that. I'm actually considering a refresh sometime in the next couple of months.
Sure.
So,
that's fun.
More designs, more positivity. We'll figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. I love it. It's always fun to be like, how do I do more? What else do we need?
Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing. So, a lot of our audience is are art educators.
Yep.
Of course, there are people that we love of all kinds in the chat here. But I was curious if you had any ideas about how we can spread kindness as teachers, right? So as educators, our students are either virtual or in person. We know that the past few months have been really hard for our students, and that we just need to practice being as kind as possible. So can you help us maybe to inspire art educators, or think of how maybe we could do some projects to pass kindness along in similar ways as you?
We've had a number of educators actually reach out to me and say, hey, I'm passing my the cards that I got out to my students, you know, students that are having a hard time virtually learning, or to coworkers. Like it's funny, there was a woman in my son's elementary school that I've known for years, but she didn't know that I did greeting cards. She didn't know much about what I did, and she stumbled on them and was like, "Oh my God, this is you!" So she got them and she gave them out to the teachers, and then one day at a virtual meeting, I heard my son's teacher say, "I got one of your cards today."
Cool.
So it was really cool to hear that, right? And she said, you know, it was just a really happy message. I put it up on my bulletin board. You know, I see that every day, and it just makes me smile. So I think that there's a way, obviously, to kind of lift up, you know, coworkers and educators in general, because I know that you guys are all faced with like a really challenging world as well. Connecting with individual students virtually must be so challenging. And you know, I can speak from personal experience through my own kids' teachers that, you know, I understand that the challenges involved in that, right? So, but you know, for a classroom, I actually had one woman say, "Hey, we took your kindness cards and we put them up. And we said, why don't we all make our own kindness cards? Let's come up with some encouraging messages." And she had her students create their own. And, you know, so the students created some, and she said, "Look, we're going to make 5 kindness cards and then find neighbors to leave them on their doorsteps." Or obviously she was supporting, you know, having the kids, you know, increase their, you know, visible, you know, to go and like knock on people's doors or anything. But, you know, can you mail them to? Can you mail them to a grandparent? Can you mail them to a friend or somebody else that feels like really isolated right now? Or somebody that could just use like a big virtual hug?
Completely. I love that. And I think I mean, you already have the kind of the process down, right? So to get the pack of cards and then spread the kindness, right? So it's a similar thing for our students. Of course, as artists, we love for them to create. So can they create them? Or maybe you're able to like make them work digitally, especially if you have some you know, some higher level students that can work and create their own digital projects, and then those could be emailed to teachers. There's so many ways to do it. And as we know, as educators and humans, any little tiny act of affirmation or love or positivity like helps so much more than usual, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's easy to overlook the impact it can have, right? It seems like such a simple gesture, but I think those little simple gestures can make like the biggest impact. Again, like especially if it's like something that you get as a surprise, that from somebody that you didn't expect it, and you're like, wow, I really needed to hear that today. Thank you so much.
Completely.
So
I'm seeing, and I believe this is an educator said that their high school kindness club, which that's amazing in and of itself.
It is.
Like I want to start a kindness club. But they did like similar type cards with candy or like give out little treats. And I feel like I have, you know, an entire pack of these at school because I mean, I'm not teaching virtually right now. So I see my teachers, you know, but you can tell when like a teacher is having an off day. So I'm just using these as like my notes instead of putting them in a mailbox with like my really not exciting Post-it note. I'll be like, okay, clearly I'm going to like pop a couple in a little thing, put a, you know, a wrapped candy bar or whatever in the mailbox, and then it's just like a little bit of teacher to teacher affirmation as well. So there's so many ways. Yeah, there's so many ways to do it. And I think there's also something fun about like the giving, right?
Yes.
And the gift.
Absolutely.
Because it's one thing to make and create and love something yourself, but then to be like, I thought of you.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. So, you know, it's a win-win, right? Like it lifts the person up that's giving it, it lifts the receiver up. And then again, those people can go on with their day and, you know, touch everybody else's lives that they're interacting with.
Completely. So we'll chat a little bit more about where people can find your work, but I do know that you also share a lot of your ideas like with a blog, and you're constantly creating and sharing. So can you tell us just a little bit more about what you share besides the kindness cards and some of your prints and things too?
Sure. In launching the online store back in September, alongside, like kind of in parallel to the kindness cards, like I'm going to be expanding my own brand into giftables of a lot of different channels, a lot of different kinds of different products. Sorry. The blog kind of happened when my kids were a little younger. And I was just trying to kind of infuse some creativity into their lives, right? So a lot of it happened even before they were in school. So I really just kind of documented some of the fun creative projects that we did along the way. And it's funny because when I go back and look, I see their little hands in the pictures, and I'm like, oh.
You are not four.
They're older now, right? And they're both boys, so they're way less inclined to want to do our like crafts with me.
Yeah.
But so the blog is really an archive. I haven't been actively blogging, but there's an archive of, you know, hundreds of different projects on there. Really simple, fun ones you can do with things that are around your house. Or, you know, really inexpensive supplies one way or another. So there's the blog. And then obviously the website. I'm trying, you know, my social media feeds. You know, I try and create every day. You know, some days obviously I don't feel very creative, and you know, as any creative person understands, like, you know, some days like, wow, I'm flowing today. I can create like 5 new things. And then some days like I can't. But generally speaking, like I try to continue to learn new things every day. You know, I'm constantly out on my kids about it. Like, you got to keep learning, you got to keep young and, you know, stay current. And so one of the things that I work really hard in my own work to do, especially like in the greeting card market, is to stay relevant and to stay current and to keep up with like the way, you know, the lingo is changing. The way people say things to each other, the way people are communicating, the colors that people are using, the patterns and the textures, and, you know, always keep my my work relevant and kind of fresh. So hopefully you guys see that. I still, people ask me all the time, like, do you have a signature style? And, you know, I've been doing this again for 20 years, and I feel like I kind of changed it up. I mean, I think friends of mine that are familiar with my work will go and say, oh yeah, I totally know which ones are yours. But, you know, I try and make it look different. Obviously there are certain design elements that I reuse, certain colors I gravitate towards. But hopefully you'll just continue to see more fresh stuff from me.
Yeah. Oh, completely. I think that's what it's all about, right? One of the questions I was going to ask you was about how you found your style and your passion. So maybe we'll like line that up more with like how you specifically fell into where you are right now, and how you feel like that encompasses what kind of artist you are. But one thing to sort of piggyback off of what you were saying, as far as feeling like maybe you have a broad style, or like you're constantly evolving, you're constantly changing and doing things. Of course, right? Because that's what artists do. We grow and we adapt to what happens around us. But I also think it's one of the things that stuck out to me most was when I was talking to some art teachers, and we were just saying, as long as it's made by the same hand, it's going to have a style, right? Because Vicky's making something, it's going to look like Vicky made it. Even if you're doing a black and white card, if you're doing a letter, whatever, there's a way that you do something that's specific to you. So that's really fun to teach kids that they have that, but also to remind adult artists that they have too, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. You bring your own perspective to it. Like when you're designing, all the little micro decisions that you make while you're creating a piece, right?
Yes.
Like, am I going to use this color? What shape am I going to use? What style am I going to use? You know, all of the little micro decisions that go into creating the composition and the finished product are 100% a function of your perspective, right? Like, what are the things that you're drawn to, and what are the things that feel good to you? And obviously, you know, there are days when I feel more about breaking out of my box and trying to create something completely new. And then there's some days that, you know, something just comes out and it's completely, it almost feels easy, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, that was weird. That's kind of what I thought was going to happen. You know, those days don't happen all the time. But yeah, I mean, I think that that's what's fun about it. And I think that that's why continuing to create is so very important. Because I think that if you get pigeonholed into just one style, I think that it can get stale after a while. I think that you have to mix it up. You have to change up your voice, change up your colors, change up your techniques. But that's interesting that you say that. I do agree. And a lot of the people that are familiar with my work that I speak to say, yeah, I can totally pick a card of yours out.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, you can?
You're like, really?
Really?
Okay.
I thought that looks different. But, you know, to me, I think it looks different. But, you know, people probably have, you know, been able to figure out, like, what are the things that I do or that, you know, specifically looks like my signature style.
Completely.
But that makes me angry because I'm like, wait a minute, that was supposed to be really different.
I know. You're like,
I need to go back and do it again.
I'm still in the box.
Right. Like I need to get out of the box.
It's just your box is really big, so your thoughts and your ideas are so broad and so versatile that you can do so many things.
Well, and that's I think that's a function of pushing myself over the years, right?
Yeah.
Like in order to stay relevant, for instance, like when you go to look at a greeting card, you know, planogram or whatever, the in store, I don't know, when you go and look at the rack and you know, how many different styles can I create there to not only appeal to different people and different voices and different aesthetics, right?
Yeah.
Like if I had 3 cards sitting right next to each other, then they're going to compete with each other, like, right? But if I can make 3 different cards that look different and have a different voice,
right,
then there's a bigger chance that I'll find the right audience for each card.
Yeah.
Right. Because, you know, different things resonate with different people. Humor is a great example because I also write humor cards. And I think I'm hilarious when I'm sitting in my office. But, you know, and I'm like, hey, kids, you think this is funny? And I've got the awful mom joke thing down. And they're like, yeah, that's hilarious, Mom. But, you know, sometimes humor is a hard thing, too. Right. Like what kind of humor? Somebody? Are they more into punny? Are they into, you know, more edgy humor, or are they into like really lighthearted humor? So that's a good example too. Like finding a voice is also another thing I kind of play around with. So I try a lot of different voices. You know, if you've seen some of my cards out there, then I'm sure you would understand.
Yeah. Oh,
but again,
now I feel like,
oh, that's something Mom would say.
See, but that's because they're your kids. But also,
exactly. They probably feel like say it.
Right, exactly. I feel like you talking about the like humor component is like, ooh, it could be because you know I'm picturing students in my class gravitating towards specifically making a kindness card that they could share, but also like a humor card. Right. So maybe like humor cards would be fun because like kid jokes are hilarious and
kid
weird.
Jokes are hilarious. They're the best. Hands down, they're the best.
Oh my gosh.
Like even just like hearing sometimes they'll come to me and they'll say, well, doesn't the song say this? And then the lyrics are totally off, and that just makes me laugh. You know, just the little like kind of innocent moments you can capture.
Yes.
I think humor is a great way to connect with people too, right?
Yes.
Like if you can share a laugh, then you've also connected in a completely.
It's like sharing a piece of that art, right?
Yeah.
The art is laughter and, you know, a joke and community and experience, but it's also genuinely just, it feels good.
Right.
A couple comments here too was just a little positive compliment to you. An individual here said Vicky's incredibly kind in replying to Instagram, which I'll completely agree with. She finds the time. I don't know how, but you're a joy to follow. So sometimes people think that, you know, if somebody has a lot of followers or is like posting things every day, that they might not respond. But typically, like, people are there to respond and interact. And you are one of those people that is constantly there, constantly trying to be active and kind and helpful to your followers. So I think, like, if somebody wanted to get into the greeting card business and you were like, here's a couple things to help, like, you seem like the kind of person that would be able to do that because you yourself are kind.
I'd be happy to. Yes. And I try. And for anybody that I haven't answered, it's just because DM direct messaging gets lost. Like sometimes can't log in, or my kids are like, "Where are you on your phone?"
Right. You're like, well, I probably
They're like, "Oh, I
should.
put it down. I don't have my phone."
Right. Right, exactly. So yeah, so feel free to message Vicky. Obviously, I was going to kind of round out our conversation. I know people are sharing some really great reminders about how humor deflects many emotions. I'm seeing some great things about there too, and also following your own intuition and your energy in which to make art. Right.
Absolutely.
So it says, so they're individually made from that. I assume the cards, but specifically like anytime you're creating something, you're following your energy for the day, right? If you look at what you've created, you could probably tell sort of how you feel or what was going on based on where you went that day, right?
Yeah.
And that's a huge part of it. And I think our students and other artists will definitely relate to that, or creatives, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes I create artwork and messages that I need to hear that day, right? And then I hope I can share it with somebody else that needs to hear it, right? Like it's going to be a really great day, is I think what I posted this morning. And it has been a really great day, right? But then there's other days, you know, when I may post something a little more encouraging. And if somebody were to walk around my studio or walk around my house, I have sayings posted everywhere, all kinds of different artwork, but positive affirmations, right? Because my kids read them, like my family sees them, I see them, and you know, it can help.
Yeah,
So
I think so too. I think so too. And I think also just bringing it full circle to remind everyone that positivity is a tool, in my opinion, to help, right? So it doesn't mean it cures everything. It doesn't mean we don't have our troubles. Doesn't mean that you don't have hard days, of course, right? And it's not toxic to try to encourage that positivity in yourself and your students, as long as you're realizing and being able to address those feelings, right?
So obviously mental, oh, go ahead. I was just saying,
no, please.
Obviously like a huge thing to be aware of, especially now, obviously up until now as well. Right. But I think people are being really challenged, especially because they're so isolated. So, you know, my own kind of makeup says it's okay to feel what you're feeling. Feel what you're feeling.
Yes.
It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to feel alone. It's okay to feel those things. And then, you know, and then kind of come out of them or find a way. And you know, obviously everybody's got their own challenges related to that, but no, you can't, there's no way to be positive all day, every day. You have to feel all of your emotions
completely.
Right. And then cards actually help with that too, right? When you're sending somebody, you know, when you have a friend that's going through a hard time, you send them an encouragement card. You'll notice that there's not specifically humor in the kindness cards. And I think that it didn't feel right. It spoke, because we're going through such a serious time, I think that the messages and the artwork needed to be very straightforward and encouraging and heartfelt and affectionate versus humor based, because so many people are dealing with such so many challenges that, you know, I'm sure some days feel insurmountable, but you know, everybody uses their own tools, but absolutely I think these can be a positive tool to kind of
Oh, completely. And that sort of leads me to one of my last questions. But I was wondering about how it really depends, I think, on the specific type of artwork that we're talking about. But what do you want people to feel when they see your work and when they interact with your work and your cards? What do you want them to feel?
I think in general, I would hope that they feel lifted up and a little more positive, right? Yeah. Reminded of you know, how simple you know, just taking a moment to be grateful for the things that we do have can be. And, you know, I gravitate again towards kind of more vibrant, happy palettes. You know, those are colors that that I like to see around, right? Because they lift me up. So honestly, I think that whether it's a humor card or whether it's, you know, a kindness card or whether it's some other piece of my work, I really just kind of wanted somebody to smile.
Yeah,
or, you know,
I love that.
Warm inside and be like, oh, it's positive.
Yeah, yeah. It's
or maybe they get a good laugh.
Yeah, exactly. Any of the above.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
I love that. So a couple things here just to sort of rein it all back in.
Sure.
A few quick things we're going to tidy it all up with. The first one is, can you share any final thoughts with us about what is in store for you in the future, or any kind of like positive parting wisdom for us that you feel like we should know? You're so wise, Vicky.
Let's see. In store for the future, I'm going to continue to build out my product offering on my website. So, you know, I'll continue to have prints, but I'm looking into getting into some more giftable categories. So look for that like in the coming year. You can also find my cards anywhere recycled paper greetings cards are sold nationwide. And I don't know, parting wisdom. I mean, I think, just try and listen to whatever's happening inside, listen to the inner voice. And, you talked about intuition, like listen, really hone in on what it is that makes you tick, and, make the things that are important to you important in your daily life. Right.
Yeah.
And I think that if you can find those things, even if they're little things, to take care of yourself, so you can be a better person and, bring that better side of you to the world. And I think that overall, like, you'll help lift other people up.
Completely.
It doesn't mean that you always have to be positive. It doesn't mean that you always have to be in a good place.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think that actually that can actually help creative people as well, right? It can help find where's my, I don't know, what is it that drives me? What is it that creates that need for that voice inside me that wants to come out, right?
Yeah.
And how can I communicate that in a creative way?
Right, exactly. I mean, that's why art teachers and artists and creative people do what we do, right? Is because we have something we want to say. We have something we want to share. We need to use it as therapy, whatever the reason is, and it can be a whole plethora of reasons. That's what we're here for, right? And that's why we find that community together with artists. And I feel that very much from you. So one last thing to round it out is, if anybody that's followed the chats and the Instagram lives that I've been doing for the past few weeks noticed, I've been trying to remind friends to watch live. So you beautiful 24 people that are in here right now, I know it was more before and it always varies, but all y'all have a chance to win a beautiful holographic sticker from AWU. So this is not a holographic sticker, but I promise I will get them. So I do have some that are on the way and they're like rainbow behind it, and then they're white and they're super dope, and I am obsessed. So I'm going to ask a question, and then I would like friends to respond in the chat. And the first response that I see on my end, because sometimes internet's weird, but the first one that I see that's correct, I will DM that individual and get an address so that I can send you a super dope rainbow holographic sticker for being for watching our Instagram live chat. So here's my question. Are y'all ready? How many kindness cards has Vicky given away? And we'll say it's more than this, but what's the number we're celebrating? How many kindness cards has Vicky given away? It was in the description of the chat, and I said it it's yes! Okay, Art Room VH. Okay, my friend, Art Room. It's 150,000 cards. Okay, Art Room VH, my friend, I will be messaging you. Art, I gotta make sure I have her name right. Y'all did a good job. Art Room VH. Okay, I will message you and I will get you your super cool sticker. Thank you all so much for joining. I'll be sure to share Vicky's website, as well as if you're not already following her on Instagram, you'll want to do that as well. Vicky, thank you so much for helping to spread kindness with this world and for your beautiful work. We are so thankful.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed being with you guys today.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we'll talk later. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.